So actually positive, and I got an interestingly not large amount of blowback, which I was told is sometimes a purposeful tactic to sort of ignore. I mean, I wouldn't say the book was ignored. I certainly, had a lot of publicity for it. But I was sort of braced to be just torn to shreds because that's what happens to people who, take on these sorts of issues. And it didn't. And I do wonder if it's because I really focused on the fundamentals, not all the way down at the end of the road where we are culturally, but back to the very sort of basics. And I tried to keep sort of a positive tone, focusing more on what makes, women good and different from men and vice versa. And so it wasn't, I didn't get as much negative feedback as I expected.
I'm really surprised that I am as you are. Okay, here's the loaded question. Why did sex become a scandal by the time you wrote the book? The word scandal.
Yeah, so I mean, my husband actually came up with the title.
I love the title.
It's a good little play on words, but the scandal comes from the idea that it has become a scandal to the point of being like a anathema that'll get you canceled if you argue the basic biological truth that men and women are quite literally not the same. And since I wrote the book, that's become, that the sort of scandal aspect has gotten way crazier than I would have expected. There was these tricklings in from the UK where, it was advised to use the phrase pregnant people instead of pregnant women. And I just never expected that we'd reach the point where, now I have people who are in the obstetrics profession who tell me I could never say this publicly, but, we're advised that we have to say birthing individual. In fact, I just had my fourth kid 9 months ago, and I couldn't believe, I was actually shocked that on the hospital wall it said boy or girl, like check which one. And, they put like a little sticker on which one. And I thought, how has this not been, eradicated? But we're at the point where you have the State Department saying that people can just go in and change their sex on their passports, which is, a national security issue. People saying they can just select on their identification. So that's where the scandal comes from, that it's, you can't even talk about it without being afraid of being canceled.